This podcast is sponsored by RSA Rock and Metal Fans Facebook page.
Is it a normal thing for you to be awake this early in the morning on a weekend, on a Saturday, being a musician and everything?
Only when I have stuff to do. Not really. I really like sleeping in, but it depends. It's really weird. It's like some days when you don't have stuff to do, it's like I sometimes, like, when I want to sleep in, it's like, especially when I have the desire to sleep in, then I wake up and it's just like, oh God, I feel refreshed. Wait, it's 6:30 in the morning. I want to sleep.
And I guess it's not as easy as getting up this early in the morning if you've done a show the night before, right?
Oh no, that's
that's not gonna happen.
God, that I'll give you a little story about that. We played a show in Murfreesboro, North Carolina, and we drove 3 hours to the hotel. It was like 3 in the morning when we got out of the venue, and we drove west, and we got to our motel, and we were only able to sleep for 45 minutes because we got there like at 6 a.m. So we slept 45 minutes, woke up, and then drove another 6 hours to Nashville, Tennessee. So like by the time we got to that show, like we were fucking zombies.
Oh shit! No, that's why I don't envy musicians when it comes to touring and driving out of state and flying here and flying there. Sounds fantastical, but it really isn't.
No, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, sometimes it's great, and then sometimes, you get 45 minutes to sleep, and then it's not so great.
How do you function? Is it like almost like muscle memory? You know what I mean? It's like your body knows that, okay, we only got 45 minutes. Okay, let's pull some resources from this kidney to serve that one or something.
Yeah, it's pretty much, your body telling you to F off, and your brain saying no.
Oh man, you can swear. You can swear on this podcast. You're good to go, man.
Oh, awesome. All right, so then let me amend my statement for the program. It's like your body telling you to fuck off, and your brain, and your brain's sitting there just like, no, you got to keep going.
That's insane, though, because I mean, it's not good for your health, though.
No, it's not good for your health.
But I guess, like you said, like I said earlier, it's probably just muscle memory, and I guess if you're young enough, you can. I mean, I remember doing it for days on end, not getting any sleep whatsoever. But now, close to 50, I'm like, fuck no. I mean, last night, for example, 3 bottles of wine and a bottle of champagne, and I can't even remember the last hour of the evening. And
wow,
I'm hung like a motherfucker today. Let me tell you. I still am, and it's nearly like it's 12 o'clock here in the afternoon, and I'm feeling like a horse shit. Really, not good.
That's not good. I don't miss those days. I've been sober for about 3 years, but believe me, I relate to you.
Oh wow! What was the decision on that then?
Life choices. Some medical stuff. Basically, it was just a scare. That was pretty much it.
Right.
Like, if you keep, doing what you're doing, then your liver's going to become pate and you're going to die. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want that.
was it? Were you living the rock and roll life, that everybody expects?
Not really. I mean, that even the rock and roll life. I mean, it's not really. That's not all it's really cracked up to be, especially now. Oh my God. Like, it's half the stuff that you could do then. I mean, you couldn't even dream of getting away with now. But
definitely not. Yeah, no. Jesus, you can't get away with anything these days because there's so many scares and so many medicines that you have to take, and not have to take, but there's so many things, telling you not to do this and not to do that. Has the world gone fucking mad? Everything's got to be so PC,
Oh God. Well, I don't know what it is. It's my take on it is I think because musicians and like, you know, anyone in the entertainment industry, you're constantly on stage, you know, now that we have, you know, cell phones with, you know, video capabilities, you know, it's very easy to just whip out a cell phone, point it at someone, and, you know, say you catch someone on a bad day. Well, then that bad day becomes front page news, and it's like you're not allowed that that bad day. And it really just, it creates a very stressful situation. It's just like, okay, I need to watch what I say 150% of the time.
And that's not easy.
No, it's not easy at all, especially being a New Yorker. Are you kidding me? I use the word fuck like a punctuation point, and you know.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I remember one show I did. It was I think it was also Murfreesboro, North Carolina, and you know, that part of the state is very that part of the country, I should say, is very religious. So, you know, I'm talking like, you know, like my regular self, you know, because you know, I'm from New York. I don't think anything of it. I think I might have said fuck at least like 6 times, and like I was talking to this one guy who was like literally staring at me like I was the Antichrist or something. Like, it's just like, you know, you kind of look at me, and then I kind of like switched, you know, my lexicon, you know, realizing, you know, what part of the country I'm in. It's like, okay, well, you know, I'm making this guy really uncomfortable. Oopsie.
Yeah, you know what I find amazing is that the media side of the world has also gone tits up, because they just report everything that is bad, and I know it's all for ratings and viewer ratings and, you know, clickbait and whatever else. But I find myself getting more and more not watching and not looking at news anymore, and not following people who sprout shit like that. It's like particularly with your president now, it's been fucking. Has he got COVID? Hasn't he got COVID? You know, who gives a fuck if he's got COVID or not?
I mean, look, if we're gonna go political here,
no, let's not. No, fuck that. No. Because that's a dangerous road. Because our political situation in South Africa is completely fucked up. We would have Trump over anybody else, believe me.
Nah, I mean, look, I'll say this much. You know, if you're a close friend of mine, you know, I don't really, you know, I was always raised never, you know, bring up politics and religion in polite conversation. And
absolutely correct.
I take that, you know, I take that, you know, to stride, especially with music, and especially with that stuff. You won't see me on an NPR, you won't see me on a thing talking about politics or whatever. Because look, I'm a musician, I'm not a politician. You know, I know that, you know, anything you bring up to me about politics, I could shit out ideas just like anyone else, but it's like, I don't know the intricacies behind them. You know, I don't know what's going on. I never had any aspiration to have a career in politics. I kind of, you know, like I said, you know, close people will know my political affiliation, and my beliefs and other stuff, and you know, the general public, I keep my music. You know, it's
absolutely correct. Yeah,
it's a separation of church and state.
Yeah,
you know, I don't really believe in it.
There you go. Yeah, so fuck politics and fuck religion. We're not talking about that shit today. Okay, so let's talk about the music scene in New York. Okay, because a lot of my listeners, well, I would say 90% of my listeners are from South Africa, and we have an inkling of you know, what the scene is in America, but what's the scene in New York?
Well, the scene in New York was, I should say, before COVID. It was very, I really don't know how to describe it. You know, at one point back in the day, you know, it was very strong, but you know, you have these different groups. You know, you have the New York hardcore fans who are probably, you know, some of the most loyal music fans. Like, they will, you know, go to the ends of the earth, you know, for the bands that they support. And then you have, you know, the New York rock scene, which, you know, you have some people in there who would sell their grandmother down the river for a nickel. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to describe. You know, the bands that are actually out there and doing stuff, you know, it kind of get a mixed reaction. You know, you have some people who sit there and, you know, are genuinely supportive and genuinely happy for them, and, you know, also strive to reach that same level. And then you have another group of people who kind of rationalize success and are envious of, you know, going through and doing something. And it's like they come up with reasons, and there's a lot of shit talking and a lot of other stuff in there. And it's like, you know, it's funny because it's like, you know, the rumor mill me is more interesting than fucking the real me. You know, because the rumor mill me sounds like they make me have to be like a fucking James Bond villain. You know, like.
Well, I mean, your name is James, so we'll just go with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I love films. I'm a big movie buff.
Punk was very big in New York. I mean, that's where it all basically kicked off in America, wasn't it? In New York.
I guess so. I'd have to look at the history books, because I think wasn't New York and London kind of going off at the same time?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, the Sex Pistols made it very sort of popular, if I could say that. But I think New York had a much more heavier edge to it compared to the rest of the world that was punk scene. Because the only reason why I'm talking about punk is because you talk about New York and you talk about music and you think like Beastie Boys, you start thinking about rap and you know, big massive ghetto glasses, and you're just thinking, okay, well, I think, at least myself personally, I just think Led Zeppelin at the Madison Square Gardens, and I just think about all these things that happen in New York that were so musically massive. Do you find it sort of like, is it diluted now too much, or, you know, is there too much going on? Is there not enough support, or?
There is support for it. It's just harder to get people to give a shit.
Okay, so you guys are going through exactly the same thing that the rest of the world's probably going through, because I find getting people to go to a concert or something, or a show or something, is now impossible. Everybody's got their fucking smartphones out and they can call up a video within a second. Why must I get in my car and drive 45 minutes to a show?
Well, yeah, it's, you know, I always say that social media has, you know, made, you know, antisocial people, you know, better at being antisocial. You know,
isn't that what they call a juxtaposition?
Yeah, it's an oxymoron.
Oxymoron,
Yeah, it's social media, and it's, you know,
it's made everybody antisocial.
Yeah, it's made everyone antisocial. It's done more to make us more distant. I mean, like, I see it all the time, you know, people sitting there, you know, across the table from each other on their phones, texting each other. It's like, you're right across from each other.
Put your fucking phone down and look at each other and speak.
Yeah, it's like, and it's the same thing with going to a concert. It's like, listen, it's one thing, you know, from two ends. As a music lover, it's one thing to watch a video. I mean, I get it. If you're not there, you're watching something from halfway across the world, like, yeah, of course, you know, watch it from a video. But, like, if this is a concert that's 30 minutes from your house, that you could have gone to this show, and instead you're staying at home, you know, trust me, go out. Netflix is still going to be there. Pornhub will fucking still be online when you get home. Like, seriously.
Yeah,
you know,
live a little.
Not going away.
Bloody hell. I just think it's amazing when I go, even small shows like, you know, 30, 40 people, you know, really intimate sort of show, you see people on their phone recording, you know, it's like, why don't you just put your phone down and just listen to the music and enjoy it? Do you get that a lot at RYDER shows?
I do get that a lot. There are people, although I will say a lot of our shows too, you have a smattering. Like, you have a smattering of people with their phones out recording. You know, but every single one of them have been absolutely respectful. I've never had a bad experience with any one of them. So it's not like, you know, Rob Halford, you know, kicking someone. I'm not kicking people's phones, you know. I've never had to do that, nor will I ever do that. You know, you have a smattering of people who film, and then you have other people who are just kind of into it. And like, I've noticed a weird phenomenon at our shows is like, you know, in the beginning you'll have some people, you know, they'll record like the first song or two, and then midway through the set, then they put the phone down, and then they start getting into the music. And it's like, you know, I love seeing that, because it's like, okay, you know, now you're feeling it. Now you're not looking at me, you know, through a 2-inch screen here, or however big, you know, your phone is. I mean, I guess if a 2-inch screen, you know, I guess you better get a better job and get a better phone. But you know, it's great to see that, you know, like people just getting into the music, you know, putting the technology down and just experiencing music as an experience instead of just, you know, something that you can just watch through a screen.
Okay, let's talk about your band, RYDER, and the album Killer Karma. When was that? Was it released this year?
Yes, it came out on August 5th of this year, which is coincidentally the band's 4-year anniversary.
4 years.
Yep.
One album. Fuck, that's a lot of paying your dues.
1 year, 4 years, one album. Our first, one studio album. We had a live EP come out before that, which kind of helped us out. And then in our early days, you know, we just like any other band, we did some demos that we had out for a period of time, and you know, then once we listened back to them, and we were just like, oh wow, we need better musicians on here, and to make this sound better, you know, we stopped releasing the demos, and now they're hitting in the RYDER vault, and we'll never see the light of day ever again. We started off with a live EP, and this is our first studio album. It's 10 songs, and we even did 2 acoustic B-sides, which came out as singles. So,
when you sent it to me, I was like, okay, let's see what New York has to offer. And as soon as you sent it to me, and I think I still replied to you, I said, oh, this is right up my alley, hard rock. Now, I love hard rock. And when I played the first track, Hard Time, I was like, damn it, this is good. Now this I can get into. I mean, I get into all the podcast musicians that, you know, send me the stuff. I love the music. It's fucking brilliant. But hard rock and just the genre metal I can get into very easily. Hard Time, for me, the opening track is a fucking great track. What a way to open up an album, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. I love it. I like the album, but the question that I have is rock and roll dead?
Is rock and roll dead? No. I'll quote my song. No, rock and roll's not dead. Rock and roll's a lifestyle, as well as a genre. It's the only way rock and roll is going to be dead is, you know, when people truly stop giving a shit. And there are a lot of people like yourself, and like other people I've talked to, that are passionate about rock music, that are, you know, that do love this genre, and, you know, are immersed in this genre. And it's like, no, it's not going to be dead. I mean, you know, you'll have moments where, you know, it's not, you know, the preferred genre to listen to, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be, you know, that it's going to die off and go away. There's still people who care. So I say rock and roll is only dead when people stop giving a shit.
Good. Well, let's make sure that everybody keeps giving a shit.
Yes.
James, I wanted to go back to the early days of how you started picking up the guitar and singing. How did that all happen?
Oh wow. Well, I started off before I picked up the guitar, I played saxophone for a number of years.
Wow.
You know, I played jazz. I did 1 year alto and 11 years tenor sax. And,
Okay.
you know, so very, very different. You know, that's kind of how I learned. You know, the jazz method, perfectionist. You know,
Does that aid the whole rock and roll sort of writing a lot? Does it help it?
It actually does. You know, when you're stuck in a key and you're just like, okay, well, you know, where the fuck do I go from here? You know, it's good to know, you know, it's good to know, you know, your notes and, you know how to compose and how to do that type of stuff. So yeah, it definitely, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just find it interesting that, you know, you started out doing jazz and then went into rock. I mean, is that a natural progression?
Yeah, you know, yeah, it was, well, it's funny because, you know, rock and roll in itself is a combination of jazz and blues. So it's kind of like, you know, that was like one of the genres that it just, yeah, and I had listened to rock, you know, like even while I was playing saxophone, you know, just because I wasn't playing rock doesn't mean that I wasn't listening to it. So it's like, I don't know, just something kind of clicked off in my head that I wanted to pick up the guitar, you know, and I ended up doing it. I believe it's actually funny because you know, I'm a very big pro wrestling fan, and I can pinpoint the exact moment where I wanted to pick up the guitar. I was watching, I believe it was WrestleMania 17 when Motorhead played Triple H in the ring, and that was the first time I'd seen Motorhead. Wow. And I was just like, wow, that's cool. I want to do that. And I became, you know, not only was I a wrestling fan, I became a Motorhead fan, and then I just kind of went down that rabbit hole and discovered other bands with that genre, and it was just like, yeah, no, I want to play guitar. And, you know, I worked all summer as a pool attendant and saved up for my first Gibson Les Paul. And
wow, I was just going to ask you, what can you remember your first purchase? Wow, okay, Gibson, what a way to start.
Oh yeah, no, well, because I always heard that was the best brand. You know, obviously I didn't talk to someone that was Strat heavy. I talked to someone that, you know, that liked Gibson. And yeah, I worked all summer as a pool attendant. And
most people buy a shitty beat up piece of crap to start off with, but you go ahead and buy a fucking Gibson.
Yeah, well, not a high-end Gibson. It was a Les Paul Studio. I worked as a pool attendant. You know, I wasn't working as a towel boy. I wasn't getting this.
Right? Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, like I said, what a way to start. I mean, you can't get any better than that. But I mean, you know, you got to start somewhere, right? So, what do you recall how you learned to play it?
For the first few months, I was self-taught. It was very much, you know, just figuring out finger positions and other stuff. And then later on, I took lessons for a few months, you know, to kind of strengthen my get rid of the bad habits and strengthen the good habits. Because, you know, that's always the drawback with being self-taught, is that, you know, it's awesome for creativity. You know, you learn different things and you learn unorthodox ways of going about things. Yeah. But you also pick up a lot of bad habits, and you know, that's kind of the drawback. So it's like, you know, I guess my you know, to conclude my TED talk on being self-taught, take lessons, get rid of the bad habits. You know, it'll only make you a better player.
Okay. So what was the first band that you were in then?
Oh, God, I was in high school. It was one of my classmates. It was a 3-piece project, and we basically, because he was a Green Day fan, and you know, he had said, I was very self-conscious about singing. I didn't start singing until much later. So I was only playing guitar at that point, and you know, I had this other guy singing, and he was a big Green Day fan. You know, like, you know, My Chemical Romance, like that genre. You know, of stuff. We learned a lot of Green Day. We learned every record from Kerplunk to 21st Century Breakdown, and we butchered them vocally, and it was looking back on it now, it was like, and I still remember those songs today. You know, that's why, you know, certain Green Day stuff, it's like, as soon as I hear it, I'm just like, God, I know the chords. I know all of it.
So, besides being in high school bands, which I guess is everybody's natural sort of
Kind of PTSD. Yeah. Kind of PTSD.
What was that seminal moment that you had that sort of said, okay, fuck it, I'm going to do my own band and just call it my surname?
Oh man. Well, I was in a project towards the end of mid 2016. You know, I was working with 3 other people that, you know, we just had different philosophies. You know, they wanted to do one thing, you know, they were passionate about other things, and, you know, I was very much, you know, no, let's grab the brass ring, let's do this, gotta do this, and, you know, keep moving forward, you know, get your head out of your ass, and, you know, stop being stupid, you know. So,
get rid of those bad habits.
yeah, get rid of those bad habits. And, you know, the problem is, if they got rid of their bad habits, you know, they'd be jumping in front of a bus. But you know, but sorry, a little bit of dark humor.
It's all good. It's all good.
So suicide is not the answer.
No, it is not.
Do not take what I'm saying seriously.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Disclaimers. Yeah.
Yes, please waive Trev and myself of all legal liability if you do decide to jump in front of the bus.
We're nice guys. We don't mean what we say.
But anyway, getting back on track with the with the thing. It wasn't a right fit, and, you know, it was kind of a nasty breakup, and it was you know, a lot of resentment, and, you know, at the time, not so much anymore. I've spoken to him since, and it's water under the bridge.
Yeah. It happens.
But, you know, yeah, but, you know, at the time, it was just, you know, it was pretty bad at the time. And, you know, I one comment that, you know, one of them said to me is like, listen, you know, maybe you should form your own solo project, and maybe you should do your own thing, you know.
Okay.
And it was kind of said passive aggressively. It was almost like, you know, like, what was it, Keith Moon telling Jimmy Page, you know, the Blood Zeppelin comment, you know. It was kind of like one of those things. It's like, oh, all right, motherfucker, I'll show you.
I'll show you. Yeah, exactly.
And it was, which isn't really the greatest mentality to start a band. You know, you shouldn't start a band and, you know, hey, motherfucker, I'll show you. It's more, hey, I want to create music. But, you know, thankfully down the line, you know, as this journey has progressed, you know, that mentality has shifted, you know, thankfully very early. And, yeah, it was just like one of those things of like, you know, I didn't know what to do. And, you know, I contemplated, like, you know, do I want to still keep doing music? Do I still keep on doing this? And it's like, you know, I thought about it after a few days. I'm like, wait a second, I'm not going to let 3 other guys determine what I do. If I decide to go out, I'm going to go out on my fucking terms, not on their terms. Yeah. You know, so it was kind of like, that was kind of the spirit behind it. And, you know, life works in a funny way, because I was thinking about doing a solo band, and then we just became a band. I found the right people, you know, and it just, you know, this isn't, even though the band's called RYDER, it's not a solo band.
Yeah. I mean, is it a control thing for you? To sort of like path your own destiny kind of vibe?
Yeah, it's definitely a control thing. You know, sometimes it's great, and other times it's bad. And, you know, as you know, if I knew the stuff I knew now, if I could talk to, you know, myself from 4 years ago, you know, one of the things I tell them is, look, give up all this baggage, just stop holding on to all this stuff and using this negativity, and doing it for. Stop doing this for sight. Do it for yourself.
Was there a sort of like a moment you said to yourself, "Well, shit, maybe this is not going to work"?
In the early days, there were a few moments. It was very tough. We had some negative backlash in the early days, and it was very hard for us to do shows and to do other stuff. So it was weird because of the old band's breakup, we didn't really have many options, within our home state, within New York. So RYDER actually had to start in New Jersey. Our first show was actually in New Jersey.
Jeepers. Okay. Why is that though?
Just a lot of scene drama, a lot of other stuff at the time. Right. It was just a lot of things, and again, certain comments and certain things were said, and
right.
Oh well, you don't have any. I remember what the person said. I'm paraphrasing because it's 4 years ago.
Sure.
I'm still on my first cup of coffee, but
And what is it? 6 o'clock in the morning or something silly like that?
It's 6:45. So, but yeah, one of the comments someone said was, oh well, as far as I've seen, you have absolutely no support in the music scene here whatsoever. So if you want to start somewhere. If you want to start somewhere else, that's up to you. But remember, what's a band without fans? And it was a very condescending, very patronizing way to, say that to me.
Wow.
Again, it was like, oh, all right, well, what's a band without fans? A fucking start. That's what that is.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and we, at the time it was like, look, New Jersey was open to us, and we were able to cut our teeth, and we met a lot of cool people out that way. And it's like, as much as we're, Queens, New York, represented, we're a New York band that cut our teeth in New Jersey. So it kind of makes for an interesting story.
It sure does. I want to find out now if you guys are signed to any record label or anything like that.
No, we are not signed to any record label.
This is a common thing that I'm finding. More and more people that I'm chatting to, they are not keen on signing with big labels, or they rather do everything in-house, do it themselves.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When Killer Karma was finished, we had produced and engineered it with Anthony Esposito.
Right, I read that earlier. Yeah, that's jeepers. This is not just anybody. This is, he's done Lynch Mob, Ace Frehley, and so on.
Yep, and yeah, we worked with him on that. And we had Roger Leon, who, used to work at Masterdisc, who pretty much mastered,
wow,
Pantera's entire catalog. Like, you're talking heavy hitters.
Yeah,
He worked on mastering a lot of records, and, we worked with them on that, and, we tried pitching it out to a few record labels, and they didn't see it. They didn't get it. It was just for them. They looked at the numbers, or like, oh well, your Instagram numbers aren't high, and your Facebook numbers aren't high, and
why the fuck is that a prerequisite though to signing somebody?
Because
isn't it their job to get more people to fucking like the band anyway?
Well, that's the thing that I don't get, is that these numbers. Let's be honest here. These Facebook numbers or these Instagram numbers, they're just numbers. It doesn't mean that all of these people are going to show up to your show.
Exactly.
It's a fraction of
that's
them
exactly what I was thinking. I said that doesn't count for shit. Which I don't. I could fucking rant about this now, but I'm not going to do that for my own fucking sake. Yeah, no. I mean, I get it. I mean, I do distribution for a couple of bands and stuff like that, and it's only distribution. And some of the bands are like, well, we need somebody to do PR and all this sort of stuff. And so, well, you can go to somebody that does PR, and they can do your distribution for you as well. I'll tell you exactly who I use and what I use. I'm very transparent with the artists that I deal with.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to have a sidebar conversation off the record, because I'm definitely, we are indie, and I'm actually. It's funny you mentioned you do this show, because I'm looking for a way, because we have, thanks to Catherine from CJC and all the amazing work she's done for us since the pandemic has started. She really got us out to a lot of markets, and I have a lot of people who constantly hit me up, hey, how can I get a physical copy of a CD? How can I get your music? How can I get physical copies of your music? I don't want to listen to you on Spotify. Fuck Spotify. If I was, if I wanted to give you a 30-second of a cent, I mean, Jesus.
No, it's ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean, I just need to clarify, when I say distribution, I'm not talking about physical copies. Yeah, I'm talking about digital distribution. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I wish I had the financial backing to actually do proper physical production, but these things are relatively cheap to do yourself, aren't they? I mean, the equipment to do that shit is available.
They are. It is cheap it is.
I guess it's time, isn't it?
Time, and also international shipping costs, because I've had a lot of people sit here too. Hey, I want to, can you ship me a CD? I'm like, yeah, I could ship you a CD, but you're going to be paying double the price of the CD, because, the United States Postal Service and, DHL, unless you have an account with them, you're not really getting a deal on doing
not
that.
At all. No.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find ways to maybe work with people, find people in-house.
Right.
And kind of work with them, partner with a few people, and have them kind of be...
So print locally in the country that the people are representing you, and ship for you and all that sort of stuff.
Yep, and ship for us and do that, and just make it. Well,
I think there are companies that PR companies here in South Africa that do that. I mean, I can rattle off a couple of them, quite easily. So I'm sure that they do that for artists.
Yeah. It's something to look at.
Yeah, we'll have a chat after recording, definitely. I'm surprised. Does Catherine not from CJC do that on her side in the UK?
Well, what Catherine mainly focuses on is she does radio promotion.
Oh yes,
to the internet stations,
right.
All of that, and and occasionally sets up interviews like what we're having right now.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean
that's more her deal.
It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Just to get bands onto radio stations, fuck, it is hard work.
Oh, trust me, and that's one of the things I've always said to Catherine too. Is because she's even said before, she's like, you're so easy to work with. It's so like you want to actually do stuff. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna like just sit here and be like, okay, Catherine, do your job. Yeah. I'm gonna sit here and drink coffee and
wait for the
muffins and yeah.
Rock and roll does not work like that, my friends.
No, I want to be a part of stuff, and one of the things I always ask people is, what can I do for you? You want me to do a spot take for your show? The whole, this is James RYDER from RYDER, and you're listening to Talk to Trev podcast on such and such radio. Like, I've done 1 million of those, and like, it's like, listen, I can bang those out in like a few seconds. Like, you tell me what you need, because you're helping me get myself out there. So whatever I can do for you,
absolutely correct. So the future of RYDER, amongst COVID and all the bullshit that's going on, when are the shows happening again and all that sort of stuff?
You tell
That's
tell
about
me.
The same response I get every time I ask that question.
Yeah. When are the shows happening? Let,
bad
let,
in New York,
well, it got better. Just to give your listeners a little insight on, what's been going on here. New York was one of the hardest hit during the beginning of the pandemic. We were the original hotspot, and it's very controversial depending on what your political beliefs are. Me personally, I'll give you a little insight, and I don't normally do this. I actually like how Governor Cuomo has handled, the whole handling of the situation, and he was able to flatten the curve, and he was able to get us at one of the lowest infection rates in the country. So we went from being the hardest hit, highest numbers, to now, being probably one of the safest places to be. Well, now that, it's starting to get colder here and, things are starting to become a little bit more lax, the numbers are starting to creep back up here. Last week we had we went from a less than 1% infection rate to a 3.5% infection rate, and it's starting to creep up. The schools are opening. It's getting colder. This is virus season. You're also competing with the flu too. So it's like you have COVID and you have the flu. And it's really hard to distinguish because there's still a lot of unknown about COVID. You don't know. You can't even trace where you can get it from. So it's just as hard as it is. And believe me, I want to play shows to do that, and there are other parts of the country are open who are having shows regardless of guidelines, and we've had offers to go to those states and to do those shows, and believe me, it would be very easy to do that, but the hardest thing would be coming back to New York, because we would have to do a mandatory quarantine for 2 weeks. And God forbid we even bring the virus back into New York. I mean, forget music, forget all of that. Just as a human being, I in good conscience couldn't do that to people.
Because it passes on so bloody quickly.
Yeah. Look at our president. Look at the whole thing. That's literally within a week. It's just less than a week. Since Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and you had that whole thing last weekend. It's a week to the day of the service, and now look at who's sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
for humanity's sake, stay at home, be healthy, and don't be an idiot.
Yeah, just look.
Good luck with the last part.
Yeah,
there's too many fucking idiots out there.
Good luck with the. Oh, look, a bus is coming down the street.
Oh, look, I wonder if it's hard. Let me step in front of it and have a look-see. Don't be an idiot.
But no, here's the thing. As far as being an idiot or doing whatever, there's a lot of misinformation. And that's the problem of it. It's not so much people being idiot. It's people not knowing what to believe, and to a degree I can sympathize, because it's like you really don't know with the media. You have to take things with a grain of salt. And obviously I'm not a QAnon conspiracy theorist or anything here. I'm not that crazy, but the thing with the media is you always have to take things with a grain of salt. I always believe in this saying, there's 3 sides to every story. There's side A, there's side B, and then there's the truth. And the only the entity that's going to know the truth would be, God, the force, or whatever you believe in. It's that, everything else always has that subjective opinion to it. The thing with COVID is there's been so much misinformation. During the beginning of this pandemic, you had people rushing to the stores, stockpiling on fucking toilet paper.
What the fuck?
And this disease doesn't make you shit yourself. but people were stockpiling on toilet paper, and it's just panic buying, and it's okay, Well,
Really?
that's
Toilet paper, people? What are you going to do?
toilet paper.
Fucking eat it?
Yeah, well, I guess so because it's I don't know what they did with the rest. I mean, we didn't have to use the toilet paper. They're good for the next fucking year or two. So, but it's like, yeah, it was toilet paper was one of those things, and you have people sitting there. Is COVID? You won't believe how many people have asked me, is COVID real? Is COVID really real? And I tell them all the time, listen, my mother's aunt and uncle died from COVID. They were in their 90s. They died from COVID. My dad had COVID and recovered. But
so it's hit home big time.
Yeah, is COVID real? Absolutely.
Yeah, fucking right it is. Yeah, no, absolutely. So James, what is the future other than the shows? Is there going to be another 2021 record or LP or EP or?
I don't know about an LP or an EP or any of that stuff. I think we're going to ride out Killer Karma. We're going to get that out. I think most of our focus is going to be, international expansion, talking to people like you, starting to get our ducks in order. So, when countries do finally allow, people from the United States within their borders, once we stop spreading the pestilence, then we can, hopefully come and tour
Yeah, but it'd be great if at some point you guys could come up to South Africa. I know you'll be very, very welcome here, and there's a lot of bands that would be able to support the hard rock genre that you're in, and support the album and so on.
I would love to come to South Africa. The only problem is finding someone to help bankroll that. Not a cheap ticket.
No, it's not. Some of the people that I've spoken to do that. They do events, and one of the podcasts I had, we talked about the costs involved and everything, and it's fucking frightening.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I think the last time I checked for a plane ticket was. It was from JFK to Johannesburg, and obviously it's not a straight flight. You got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, probably the UK or something. Yeah,
probably
London or something. Yeah.
Yeah, Heathrow.
Yeah.
So, you have to stop there, and it's like I think the ticket came out to like almost $10,000 a person. So it's like, in order for us to come to South Africa, it would be about $40,000 total with tax, but round trip, mind you.
Yeah,
so $5,000 each way. But yeah, it's very.
That is a massive expense for what would be actually little to no return.
Yeah, it's again, it's one of those things. That's why we talk to people. That's why if anyone.
It's all about spreading the word, isn't it, and getting the message across, and I can see why you're not hell bent, but hell bent on. Eager to do physical distribution. I find I love holding a CD in my hands or a vinyl.
Absolutely.
That's what I miss that. I miss. There's so many shops that around here where I live on the West Coast that have closed down. That were CD stores and so on. And it's like just like you were saying earlier, switch on fucking Spotify and play whatever you want to play, and you don't have to pay a fucking cent. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in two minds about that, to be honest.
Well, here's also a thing too. Like, take the music aspect out of it too. Just from a simple branding aspect, what's going to do more for you? Anyone? Yes, we have the internet. We're all connected. You go online, you see a logo, you see the RYDER skull, you see the other thing, you'll probably think, oh yeah, that's cool. You go about your everyday life, do your thing, do whatever. But what's going to get you more traction? Looking at your logo online, or being able to sell the merchandise overseas and have your brand there, where you see someone wearing a RYDER t-shirt in Johannesburg, it's like, what's going to do more for you? Because for me, I would think the physical shirt would do a hell of a lot more for me, because then at that point it's something tangible. It's not an online thing. Now it's tangible. Now people can see this and be like, wow, that's cool. Where did you get that shirt? And then it just, the dominoes fall from there, and it just...
Okay, well, James, it's been awesome to chat to you, man. It's I must thank Catherine from CJC Promotions PR for allowing us to have this conversation. And your album Killer Karma is fucking awesome, and it's out everywhere, right? We can get it online.
It's out everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. You can even, if you don't want to pay for anything, you can go on YouTube and you can stream the record, and I'd still get royalties off of it. So
rad. I'm gonna put a hard time on my Talk to Trev playlist on Spotify. That's definitely gonna go on my playlist with all the artists that I've had a podcast with. But James, from the band RYDER, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me and give me the lowdown on what's happening in New York and all the funny stories and 45 minutes and fuck no, I need 10 hours and 45 minutes the way I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, I need my second cup of coffee, so it's just a little after 7 a.m. So I don't know when this is airing, but
it'll be on Friday. This Friday coming.
It'll be on this Friday. All right. Well, you caught me early. It's 7 a.m.
Hey, we were set for 2:00 South African time. You wanted to do it early, so you've only got yourself to blame, man.
No, hey, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm just, hey, I was up. It was one of those things. I was actually worried about waking up because I set an alarm. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna wake up, because I was actually gonna wake up around this time.
Right.
And then, to get ready to do the interview, within the hour. And it was just like, I ended up waking up, I think it was like around 5:30 in the morning this morning. And I was just like, oh, all right, I'm up. let's do this.
James, awesome to chat to you, man. Keep well, be safe, and let's do this again when you've got something new on the horizon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. No worries, man.